Now the big story out of D.C. that could impact Chicago. National Guard troops are now on the streets of the nation's capital. Today we got a first look at what they will actually be doing after the president ordered the Guard to help out local police. The Guard is going to help with crowd management and perimeter control. They will not make arrests or perform direct law enforcement duties. A defense official tells NBC News in most cases they will not carry guns.
President Trump also said yesterday he would consider doing the same in other cities like Chicago. NBC 5's Courtney Sisk joins us now to discuss what he can and cannot legally do. Courtney?
Hi, Kate. What the president has the authority to do in Washington, D.C. is much different than what he's allowed to do in other states. Typically, governors control the state guards. D.C. does not have a governor, and the Guard is always under control of the president. Here's how Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson responded.
I would just say he has absolutely no right and no legal ability to send troops in to the city of Chicago, and so I reject that notion.
He's done a lot of things that he doesn't have the authority to do. That's my larger point, that we have to take that seriously.
Now, the president does have the ability to federalize the state guards in an emergency. We just saw him attempt this in L.A. to help the immigration and law enforcement officials. However, the legality of that is being argued in federal court right now. There is a federal act called Posse Comitatus. It's an act that's 147 years old, and it restricts the use of the U.S. military for domestic law enforcement purposes unless explicitly authorized by Congress or the Constitution. D.C. also has what's called the Home Rule Act, which gives the president power to use the D.C. police force for federal purposes if he determines there's an emergency. It allows him to use the D.C. police for up to 30 days. He would need authorization from Congress to extend it. I spoke with Air Force Colonel and National Guard veteran Josh McConkley about this today.
The presidential directives and the history, there's been a lot of, when you talk about precedents, when presidents make decisions, they're acting on prior precedents, prior presidential directives. It's very well established, and he is well within his right to do that.
So then we have heard unprecedented get floated a lot when we talk about the story. So has this actually happened before?
It actually has happened before, and it was back in 1989. It was then President George H.W. Bush. He used the Guard in D.C. for the so-called war on drugs. And during that time, a legal opinion from the department's Office of Legal Counsel found he was allowed to do that. So should Trump's latest move in D.C. be called into question, the courts could certainly refer back to that opinion for their ruling on this.
Interesting. All right, Courtney, thank you.
We're going to continue to follow the events, of course, in Washington, D.C., and we'll have a report from our nation's capital coming up right here at 4:30. Of course, you can always get the latest updates anytime on the NBC Chicago app.